We just wanted to get like just some memories of you working together, and yeah.
I have never worked with this man.
We've never worked together. I've been working with her, but it's never happened.
No, we have.
Yeah, but it's amazing. You've worked with each other.
I've only worked with him in the sense that we've told stories together.
Yeah, we have.
But he does the same sort of thing as I do, only he does it better.
So, no, that's not true, Dominic. Actually, no, you're right.
This is what you should be filming.
Yeah, this is, We just want you to start talking and keep going.
Yeah, okay, so
we'll
if
just
this...
film it.
Yeah, okay. Right.
But do we want to be serious at all?
No.
Well, no, I think,
for goodness sake, don't tell Francis.
I think we should. No, I do think we should. Well, I mean, look, I'll say that.
How many classes have you written?
I was never the director of a dig, ever. Right? It was always teamwork, and
we told you what to do.
You told me what to do, and it was a great pleasure, when you lot told me what to do.
But you talked about that recently in terms of mucking, that you didn't intentionally believe in hierarchy because of mucking. That's pretty interesting, I think.
Well, yes. I mean, the only reason, Chris, is that when I arrived at mucking, I had to go and have my tea break in the volunteers' shed. Right, and then the director and the two supervisors went in a separate shed, and I was on my own.
Yeah.
The volunteer.
The volunteer.
It's about shared irresponsibility.
Good old days.
Good old days. I mean, actually, don't you think it's quite good that things are a little bit less deferential, or are they becoming more deferential, Chris? Because I notice when I go on your site, there's a lot of respect for you, which is not.
No, that's yeah. But they're flat. No, hierarchies are totally flat now. That's actually true. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, that happened with Museum of London. You've had that since the 80s. Yeah. Once you get that, everybody's doing their own recording. That flattens all hierarchy pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, you always had the thing that people had quite a lot of power in their own speciality, didn't they?
Yeah, but when we first came, people, I was a raw digger. I didn't know really what I was doing. But
I think you did, Charlie, more or less.
It wasn't like a hierarchy, though, Francis. It was more, there were a lot of the supervisors been there before, so there was enormous respect for people like Dermot.
Yeah.
He was your right-hand man at the time, sort of hanging Rick, and Boyd. So it meant that, and it didn't really work as a sort of hierarchy in the sense of, you were the boss. It was more I used to think it was a proper collective in some ways. We discussed things like crazy all the time, and in latter years, you used to ring me up before we even got to work to discuss strategy. I was like, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Put the phone down. Give us a rest.
It's become very fashionable actually now. I mean, it's all called networking and peer building, but that's what we were doing, wasn't it? I mean, we were all doing it. Any good project had to work like that.
But you also see it in the hindsight. You see it like a lot of directors who had military background who put it in. If you that book that no one ever reads, John Alexander's How to Direct Archaeological Sites. He has this entire camp commandant model of, there is literally the camp commandant. It's all this, and it's all this experience in the Indian Army. I mean, not like John, for all his, dearly loved as he may be, ever had the organization to put it in practice. But it was the only working model he could imagine.
So it's all down to the end of national service.
It could well be, actually.
Do you remember there was that famous story of, I think it was Tim Potter of sacred memory.
Yeah. No, it was Paul Craddock.
Paul Craddock, who was working for Brian Philp in Kent. Yeah. And Brian Philp was very military, and everyone had to stand up. They had to line up before going to work. And Paul was the only person on the dig, right? And they had to number, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was just Paul. And he lined up like that. He said, 1.
I think if you tried to get us to do that, though, we'd have just milled around.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have taken any notice.
We just
wandered off, waited for you to feel better.
Well, I think there was that thing of shared indecision. Which is better than the decision that's done blind.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing that in the late 60s, the 70s, and into the early 80s, you went into an archaeological site hut during the day or night or a pub, and there was endless discussion and argument about how we did what we did. Why did we do what we did? And that was bollocks. You don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that happens so much anymore. And I think
Again,
it's because
it's the same thing with changes in it. That's been interesting doing the Hammond Hill for the last 3 years with Neil. Is that sense of the whole difference is when people live together. You know, it's that sense. As soon as you, that it's not a distinction between professionals and non-professional. It's just like if you're with each other effectively 24 hours a day, it's a totally different atmosphere. And very quickly you find another atmosphere. You can do it today, and it very quickly feels as if the way it did 30 years ago again. And then once you're off the campsite, it's not the same anymore.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, I really noticed it. I mean, when I was doing time teams and things, and we used to go around and visit other excavations, you could instantly tell if there was that vibe. If people all knew each other, or whether they didn't, or whether they came together in the day. But you could always tell it. I mean, I picked that up very much at Star Car.
Yes.
But also your teams are really small.
Yeah, sure.
15, 16 tops.
Yeah,
most of the times
more
half
than
a
that.
dozen.
Yeah.
So, when these big things are very, coming up, let's say 80, 90, 100 people, it's more like an Egyptian-style tell excavation. You did your job and that was it. You're out off to the next thing. There wasn't any part, a lot of people didn't take part in any decision-making, whereas we did because we were smaller, and I guess because everybody really knew each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Being at that conference, someone said Francis had cornered all the specialists in England. And Richard Bradley said, "What, Charlie and Maisie?" Because people thought you had a big team. I don't think people realised how small it was.
And the other thing I found, I know I've got to be terribly careful about saying these things, but Ethel was 99.9% female. There were very, very few chaps on it. I mean, Charlie, me, and that was about it, wasn't it?
I think all the men like Penn, because it was more manly, and big timbers, shoving her. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Did you I thought Epping was little dainty bits of wood that everyone had to.
No, Charlie was always planning at Flag Fest.
Yeah, that's true.
That was hell.
Actually, I met someone recently who refused to believe that you did all that planning manually.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you couldn't possibly have done it. And I said, yeah, he did.
he was dreaming of 3D modelling. How to do it.
Yeah, I did.
You did, Charlie.
Bloody freezing too. Most of the time.
Used to set.
I would argue the culture of the volunteer excavations, where everybody lived together and did everything together, was we have a completely different world now. And it's in those days, if you went to university, most of the people went digging like crazy, and the department might expect you to do 3 months during your degree. Now you can go to universities where 12 days digging experience is all you get. And I consider this to be a disaster because people are not coming out with the skill set they need to play with the animal. And that's because it's been allowed to drift in the same way as public funding has disappeared in favour of commercial archaeology.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Dominic, some things have changed. I mean, when I was an undergraduate at this sainted university, you could get an archaeology degree and never have gone on a dig. I mean, that may apply nowadays, but I mean, they also run, your presence aside, the best archaeological unit in the country. Yeah. So things have changed, things do change.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult yes, developer funding has its faults, but it's generally it's a hell of a lot better than it was. Getting stuff out.
I think one of the big, speaking as a specialist who goes to lots of different sites, the big problem with developer funding is you can go to a site which should really be dug by specialists or experienced people, and it's being dug by people, a medievalist really digging a wet prehistoric site and don't have any background on what they're doing at all. I went out to a site which was it was quite like Fengate, only better preserved. It was amazing, and the man who's running the site took me around and said, "Oh, I don't really understand it. We've got a load of linears." And I said, "No, you've got Bronze Age from droves and things." And he said, "Oh, really? How do you know that?"
Yeah.
And he was quite embarrassed and upset that he didn't know about that. What the hell were they doing, sending a medievalist out into the fen to dig a site like that?
But at the same time, you know, you can also say, you know, you get the bad, but you know, if you look at something the way Must Farm and the Channel went, the amount of resourcing that you could get, sort of fairly instantaneous response out of the developer, you know, that would be very difficult to achieve in the old days.
But on the other hand, Chris, I mean, we have all seen developers who put money into an archaeological team and got no value for money. They've thrown their money down the drain. At least every penny that went into Must Farm produced the goods. I mean,
and you have spent a lot of time with energy developing a good relationship with them.
That's right.
A lot of energy must have gone into that.
And we also filter our memories of the past. Our forgettery is perfect for dealing with what happened in our earlier lives and those experiences. I remember, we dug for all those years when the weather was nice.
When it was always nice.
Bloody snowing. There's someone who's nearly died trying to excavate a grave in December while there's a blizzard going on.
I can remember handing over planning to Chris, because we used to spell each other. And I can remember it was December. It was August. It was like December. I had gloves on, and I had to sort of get my fingers off the pencil to hand it to Chris. You're still working very well.
The error factor, you know, as the tapes would stretch and blow in the wind.
And I would always come to listen to you.
Good.